Okay, I got to admit, you weren't kidding about wanting a deep dive on Larsen and Toubro.
Oh, yeah.
Analyst presentations, press releases, financial statements, straight from the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's like you're prepping for a board meeting.
I know, right?
Don't worry, we're here to help make you the L&T whiz kid in no time.
That's right. That's what we're here for. What I think is so fascinating about all this is that you've even got some internal documents on their green energy and their semiconductor design plans. It seems like you want to know more than just their impressive financials, which are, you know, by the way, a USD $27 billion company.
That's right.
You want to understand how this giant is transforming for the future.
Exactly. That's the really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of impressive, did you see that order book exceeding euro 5 lakh crore?
Oh, yeah.
That's over 60 billion US dollars.
I know. It's crazy.
Like they have a pipeline to the future.
A pipeline to the future, yeah.
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 Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's start with the basics. For anyone who might need a quick overview, what exactly is Larsen and Toubro?
Well, think of them as this massive engine driving India's growth and increasingly the world's. They've been around for over 80 years.
Wow.
They're involved in everything from engineering and construction projects. I mean, these are the projects that literally shape skylines to high-tech manufacturing and services.
So they really do it all.
They really do, yeah. And you'll notice in their materials, they always highlight their history and their customer-centric approach. It's like they're saying, hey, we've been a reliable partner for decades, and we're not slowing down.
80 years is a serious track record.
I know.
It's not just surviving, it's thriving.
It is.
In a constantly changing world.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's look at how this engine is performing. In Q2 of fiscal year 2025,
Okay.
their earnings call presentation shows 21% year-over-year revenue growth,
Wow.
reaching 61,555 crore.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
And it's even more impressive when you dig a little deeper. Their consolidated profit after tax, or PAD, is 3,395 crore. Now, at first glance, that's only a 5% growth. But remember last year included that one-time gain?
Oh, right.
From the Hyderabad Metro project?
Yeah.
Without that, the actual PAD growth jumps to 25%.
Hold on, that's way better than it first seemed.
Right.
They're making serious money, even as they're transforming.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we make sense of these huge numbers?
That's a good question.
I mean, they're in so many different businesses. Can we break it down a bit?
Absolutely. A good way to see how well the core business is doing is to look at their EBITDA,
Okay.
which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
Right.
Think of it like this. You're running this massive company. EBITDA helps you see how much money you're really making from your core operations before all the fancy financial stuff gets factored in.
Gotcha. So it's like the real nitty-gritty.
Yeah, the nitty-gritty.
Okay, so what's L&T's EBITDA telling us?
Their EBITDA margin for Q2 was a solid 10.3%, holding steady compared to last year. And remember, this is after accounting for that one-time gain last year.
Right.
It shows they're managing costs and running a tight ship, which is crucial when you're juggling as many projects as they are.
Yeah, no kidding. So steady profits, even amidst all this change.
Seems to be.
That's impressive. Are they just that good at managing risk, or is there something else going on?
Well, their robust cash flow definitely plays a role. They reported $68 billion in free cash flow for the quarter, which essentially means they have a lot of financial wiggle room to reinvest, make strategic moves, or even return money to shareholders.
It's like having a financial cushion, giving them the flexibility to play offense and defense at the same time.
Exactly. And that's where this deep dive gets really interesting.
Okay.
This financial strength is allowing L&T to make some bold moves, especially in those new age sectors you mentioned earlier.
You mean green energy and semiconductors?
Nice.
Okay, let's unpack those. Starting with green energy, what exactly are they doing there? They're not just planting trees, right?
Definitely not. They're leveraging their existing expertise in engineering and construction to become major players in renewable energy. Think massive wind and solar farms.
Okay.
But what's even more exciting is their work in green hydrogen technology.
Green hydrogen. Now, I've heard the buzz, but to be honest, I'm still a little fuzzy on what it actually is.
So imagine you need to store energy from those wind and solar farms, but batteries aren't practical for massive scale. That's where green hydrogen comes in.
Okay.
It's basically hydrogen, a clean burning fuel. produced using renewable energy.
I see.
You can use it to power industries, homes, even vehicles without those nasty carbon emissions.
So instead of just building the infrastructure for renewable energy, they're creating a whole new way to use that energy.
Exactly. This is huge E. Think about it. L&T, known for building bridges and skyscrapers, powering entire cities with clean energy. That's the kind of shift that could redefine their future.
Okay, I'm starting to see why you're so excited about this. But hold on. What about their move into semiconductor design? Isn't that a completely different world from construction and energy?
But remember, we're talking about a company that thrives on taking calculated risks and adapting to new landscapes.
That's true. They didn't become a USD 27 billion company by playing it safe.
Exactly. This move into semiconductor design is a bold one, especially with the global chip shortage and all the geopolitical complexities around that industry. It shows they're thinking long-term and strategically.
So they're not just chasing trends. There's real thought behind this.
There is.
It's like they're saying, we're going to be a major player in shaping the future, not just reacting to it.
That's a great way to put it. And it brings us to the heart of their transformation, balancing their legacy in infrastructure with a push into these cutting-edge technologies.
Yeah.
But before we dig deeper into that, let's take a closer look at how their various business segments are performing.
Great idea. I'm especially curious about their infrastructure project segment.
Okay.
With all this talk about new technology, are they still seeing growth in their bread and butter business?
Absolutely. This segment is firing on all cylinders, particularly in transmission and distribution. And you guessed it, renewable energy.
Okay.
They've even created a separate business vertical specifically for renewable energy, which shows you how serious they are about this transition. And get this, 63% of this segment's orders were international.
Wow. They're not just building India's future, they're taking this expertise global.
Yeah, they are.
That's impressive. But what about IT and technology services? With the global tech boom, they must be doing well there, right?
They are. But it's a different story compared to infrastructure.
Yeah.
They're seeing modest revenue growth. But what's interesting is the healthy expansion of their EBITDA margin. This is partly due to favorable exchange rates and higher other income, which shows they're good at managing those financial levers.
So even though the top-line growth isn't as dramatic as infrastructure, they're squeezing more profit out of each dollar.
Yeah, that's right.
Smart. Yeah. What other segments should we highlight?
Let's talk financial services.
Okay.
They're seeing serious momentum there, with income from operations surging by 24% year over year. Their strategic focus on retail disbursements and efficient collections seems to be paying off.
So they're not just builders and tech innovators, they're also pretty savvy financiers.
It seems so.
Like they're a one-stop shop for nation building now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about high-tech manufacturing.
Okay.
Any cool projects or noteworthy orders there?
They've had robust order inflow growth, especially in precision engineering and systems. They're also involved in some substantial nuclear projects. But it's important to clarify something here.
Okay.
The company specifically notes that they do not manufacture explosives, ammunition, or components for nuclear weapons. Their focus is on peaceful applications of technology.
That's a really important distinction, especially in today's world. It speaks to their commitment to responsible innovation.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a company that's financially strong, making smart moves in both traditional and emerging sectors, and emphasizing ethical considerations.
Right.
But with a company this size, it makes you wonder.
What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly. Are there any risks or challenges they need to watch out for?
Well, execution is key. With such massive projects, delays, cost overruns, regulatory hurdles, these can all eat into profits and impact shareholder returns.
So managing those projects effectively is crucial.
Yes. What else? Competition.
Right.
Both at home and abroad. L&T might be a giant, but they're not the only player in the game. They need to constantly innovate and adapt to stay ahead of the curve.
And we can't forget about the wild card. Geopolitics.
Oh, of course.
Like global tensions and economic uncertainty.
Yeah.
How are they navigating those choppy waters?
That's a great question. And it brings us to another key piece of information you provided. L&T's perspective on the economic outlook. According to their press release, they're actually quite optimistic. They see India's economy as a bright spot, despite global volatility. And they're particularly bullish on opportunities in the Middle East. specifically in oil and gas and energy transition initiatives.
So they see opportunity in navigating
Yeah.
the global energy landscape. It
Yeah.
sounds like they're not letting global uncertainty shake their confidence.
Exactly. They believe that the structural reforms implemented by the Indian government over the past decade will support long-term growth. They're confident in their ability to deliver sustainable growth and profitable returns, even in a challenging environment.
That's a bold statement.
It is.
It's almost like they're a microcosm of the global economy itself.
Yeah.
They're involved in so many different sectors and regions.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
It really is.
And their performance, their strategy, their outlook. It all points to one big question. How will L&T's core identity evolve over the next decade? Will they be known as an infrastructure giant, or will they become more of a tech-driven conglomerate? Or maybe something entirely new that we can't even imagine yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're not just looking at a snapshot in time. We're trying to understand the trajectory of a company that's constantly pushing boundaries.
Precisely. And that's why we need to look beyond the headlines and dig deeper into those specific initiatives that are shaping their future.
Okay, so let's go back to green hydrogen for a moment. We talked about how it works. But what makes L&T's approach unique?
They're not just dipping their toes in the water. They're diving head first. They're not just building green hydrogen plants. They're investing in the entire ecosystem, from production and storage to transportation and distribution.
So they're not just chasing a trend. They're betting big on green hydrogen becoming a core part of their business. Exactly, and that's a smart move. The potential for green hydrogen is enormous, especially as the world transitions to a low-carbon economy.
You know, this reminds me of another company we did a deep dive on a while back. Similar company name.
Okay.
They were also making a big push into renewable energy.
Yeah.
But what sets L&T apart, at least from what I'm seeing in these documents, is their global ambition.
Yeah.
They're not just focused on India. They're looking at opportunities all over the world.
It's a great observation. And it speaks to their ability to leverage their existing relationships and expertise in international markets. They've already got a strong presence in the Middle East, and they're actively exploring projects in Europe and Southeast Asia.
It's like they're playing a global game of chess, strategically positioning themselves to be at the forefront of the green hydrogen revolution.
And they're not just focusing on the technology itself, they're also thinking about the financial side of things. They're exploring partnerships with financial institutions and governments to secure funding for these massive projects.
It's a reminder that even the most innovative technologies need a solid financial foundation to succeed.
Absolutely. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about their foray into semiconductor design.
Okay.
This is a completely different beast from green hydrogen. It's a highly competitive and complex industry with huge barriers to entry.
So why is L&T, a company known for building physical infrastructure, venturing into this digital realm?
It's all about strategic diversification and anticipating future needs. They recognize that semiconductors are the brains of modern technology. They're essential for everything from smartphones and laptops to cars and airplanes. And with a global chip shortage showing no signs of abating, L&T sees an opportunity to become a key player in this strategically important sector.
That's a risky bet, isn't it? I mean, they're going up against some of the biggest tech giants in the world.
It is, but they're not going in blind. They're leveraging their expertise in engineering and technology to focus on niche areas within the semiconductor market, for example. They're developing chips for specific allocations, like electric vehicles and renewable energy systems, areas where they already have a strong foothold.
So they're not trying to be everything to everyone. They're focusing on areas where they can leverage their existing strengths and create synergies with their other businesses.
Precisely. It's a classic example of how L&T is using their size and diversity to their advantage. They can take risks in new areas while still having a solid foundation in their core businesses.
It's like they're a startup and a blue chip company all rolled into one.
I like that.
Okay, so we've talked about green hydrogen and semiconductors.
Yeah.
But we can't forget about those other exciting areas you mentioned.
Yeah.
Data centers and digital platforms.
Right.
What's happening there?
These initiatives are all part of L&T's digital transformation strategy. They're investing heavily in building state-of-the-art data centers to meet the growing demand for cloud computing and data storage.
And I'm guessing they're not just building these data centers for themselves, right?
Right. They're creating a new revenue stream by offering data center services to other businesses, including those in the tech, finance, and healthcare sectors.
So they're not just building the infrastructure for the digital economy, they're becoming active participants in it.
Exactly. And that's where their digital platform strategy comes in. They're developing a suite of software solutions to help businesses optimize their operations, from supply chain management to customer relationship management.
So it's like they're taking their real-world expertise in building and managing complex projects and applying it to the digital world.
That's a great analogy. They're using their decades of experience to help other businesses navigate the challenges and opportunities of the digital age.
You know, it's almost like L&T is becoming a microcosm of India itself, a country that's rapidly modernizing while still holding on to its rich history and traditions.
I love that comparison. It's a beautiful blend of old and new, of tradition and innovation.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at L&T's financial performance, their strategic investments in emerging technologies, their global ambitions, and their efforts to embrace the digital revolution. It's clear that they're not standing still. They're constantly evolving and adapting to a changing world. But with all this change comes a certain level of uncertainty. What are the potential risks and challenges they need to be mindful of?
Well, execution is key. With such massive projects, delays, cost, overruns, regulatory hurdles, these can all eat into profits and impact shareholder returns.
So managing those projects effectively is crucial. Yes.
What else? Competition, both at home and abroad.
Okay.
L&T might be a giant, but they're not the only player in the game.
Right.
They need to constantly innovate and adapt to stay ahead of the curve.
And we can't forget about the wild card. Geopolitics,
Oh, of course.
with global tensions and economic uncertainty. How are they navigating those choppy waters?
That's a great question. And it brings us to another key piece of information you provided. L&T's perspective on the economic outlook. According to their press release, they're actually quite optimistic.
Oh.
They see India's economy as a bright spot, despite global volatility, and they're particularly bullish on opportunities in the Middle East, specifically in oil and gas and energy transition initiatives.
So they see opportunity in navigating the global energy landscape.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're not letting global uncertainty shake their confidence.
Exactly. They believe that the structural reforms implemented by the Indian government over the past decade will support long-term growth. They're confident in their ability to deliver sustainable growth and profitable returns, even in a challenging environment.
That's a bold statement.
It is. It's almost like they're a microcosm of the global economy itself.
Oh.
They're involved in so many different sectors and regions. It's mind-boggling. It really is. And their performance, their strategy, their outlook, it all points to one big question.
How will they manage it all?
Yeah.
Seriously, we've uncovered so much
I know.
strong financials, this ambitious expansion into all these new sectors, a global outlook. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
Even for a company as big as L&T.
That's the question for any company trying to do this much. Isn't
Yeah.
it? It's not enough to just have the vision. You got to execute flawlessly on multiple fronts.
So where do the potential cracks appear? Like,
Yeah.
give us like a worst case scenario for our listener to ponder.
Okay, so imagine this. One of their massive infrastructure projects in, say, the Middle East hits a major snag.
Okay.
Maybe political instability causes delays, or costs just skyrocket because of unforeseen issues.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly, that profitable project starts eating into their cash flow.
Ouch. That's a domino effect.
Yeah.
No one wants.
But-
But isn't that just the risk
Yeah.
with any large-scale project?
Well, yeah, but it's not like L&T is new to this game.
True. They have experience on their side.
Right, exactly. But remember, they're also pushing into uncharted territory with these new sectors.
Yeah.
Let's just take green hydrogen as an example.
Okay.
What if the technology doesn't scale as quickly as they anticipate? Or new competitors emerge with a superior solution?
That's a big what if,
It is a big what if.
especially since they're investing so heavily in it. It's a reminder that even with all the research and planning,
Yeah.
there's always an element of uncertainty
Oh, yeah.
in these emerging fields.
Absolutely. And don't forget about the potential integration challenges. They're essentially trying to merge two very different worlds, the physical world of infrastructure and the digital world
Yeah.
of semiconductors and data centers.
Right.
It's a massive cultural and operational shift.
So managing all of this,
Yeah.
these huge projects, new technologies,
Yeah.
different company cultures. It's like conducting an orchestra with musicians from all different genres.
That's a fantastic analogy. And if the conductor isn't skilled, the music could quickly turn into chaos.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Let's hope L&T's leadership is up to the task.
I hope so.
But
Yeah.
even with all these potential risks,
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm still pretty optimistic about their future.
Really?
They've shown a remarkable ability to adapt and innovate over the years.
I agree. And that's ultimately what makes this deep dive so compelling. We're not just analyzing a company. We're witnessing a transformation in real time.
Yeah.
It's a story that's still being written.
Exactly. And that's what we want to leave our listener with. That sense of wonder and anticipation we've given you. The key insights from the financials, the strategic moves, the risks and challenges, and the big questions looming on the horizon. Now, it's up to you to connect the dots and draw your own conclusions about L&T's future.
Will they be a global powerhouse in green energy, a leading player in the semiconductor race, a digital solutions provider for a rapidly changing world, or maybe all of the above?
The possibilities are truly exciting, and that's what makes business so fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
Like a constant evolution, a dance between risk and reward,
It is.
ambition and execution.
And for companies like L&T, those who are willing to embrace change and push boundaries, the rewards can be truly transformative.
So, dear listener, we encourage you to keep following L&T's journey. Stay curious, stay informed.
And poor.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the one writing the next chapter in their story.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.